Sir served the Income Tax Department as an IRS officer for about 30 years. Thereafter, Sir was elevated to the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, where Sir served as an accountant member till his superannuation in July 2011. In Income Tax Department, Sir served in various capacities, from assessing officer, investigation officer, and departmental representative before Income Tax Appellate Tribunal and Income Tax Settlement Commission. During his tenure as investigating officer in Delhi, he has been associated with some high-profile cases. Apart from being IRS, Sir holds master's degree in science. Sir is a law graduate and is also a qualified cost and works accountant. As an accountant member of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, Sir has authored several landmark judgments which have been published in leading tax journals. Sir has also authored more than 200 articles on tax issues. Also, Sir has authored 4 books on taxation and 1 book as co-authored on Ramayana, which is Ram Katha Sitare Se Suniye. Now, I would now request Sir to take over and please address the students.
Okay. Aparna, join, share. Okay. So, should I start? Respected Shri Prasanna ji, respected other members of SAMKALP, I am really thankful to every one of you for inviting me to present highlights of the budget 2023 presented by Honorable Finance Minister on 1st February 2023. See, my first reaction to the budget has been that it is a great highlight of political requirements and economic vision. And it is so difficult, in fact, I mean, for any finance minister or for any government to keep both the targets in mind, economy as well as political requirements. But in this budget, both have been so beautifully hybrided that, I mean, really it is a landmark budget for the country, which shows the vision for future, which also highlights the achievement of the government in last 5 years from 2019 onwards, rather from 2014 onwards. Really, I mean, my audience will be really happy to know what achievements the government has done during the last 4 years, and also what are their vision which they have expressed through this budget. So we have prepared a PPT. Briefly, it has 3 parts. In the first part, we will give you highlights of the budget 2023. In the second part, we will give you some terminology regarding tax matters. And third, the certain terminology in respect of budget. Because last 2 parts will be useful for the students, for the candidates to prepare for themselves for the interview, because these things may be asked to them during the course of interview. Of course, so far as budget part is concerned, they may certainly like to know the highlights, the vision of the government, and also the directions in which the government wants to move the country. So dear friends, I'll invite your attention to the highlights of the budgets, so that, I mean, you remember them, and you may be put up any question on this budget, so that you are able to answer them effectively in the interview. Now, what is this? First is that vision for Amrit Kal. They say this year is Amrit Kal for the country, and the vision of the government has been opportunity for citizens with focus on the youth. That is, they have tried to provide provisions for all the citizens, but there have been their focus on the youth. And secondly, their intention is to create growth, economic growth and personal growth, as well as job creation. And third is to provide a strong and stable macroeconomic environment for the country. Now, these three aspects has to be remembered by you, because these are general aspects which you may require to explain or express before any interview board. Then another priorities is Saptarishi. What the budget provides is that government has set up 7 priorities under which entire allocation or entire target has been fixed. First is inclusive development. Second is infrastructure and investment. Third is unleashing the potential. Fourth is green growth. Fifth is financial sector. Sixth is youth power. And seventh is reaching the last mile. I request you to remember all these 7 aspects, because the moment you express these things in the interview, you are going to create good impression upon the board. Then all these 7 items of Saptarishi or 7 targets, highlights are as under. What they have done, they have in the first part, they have shown, the government has shown how much they have done in the last 4 or 5 years. That's first is there is a cash transfer of rupees 2.2 lakhs crores to over 11.4 crores farmers under PM Kisan scheme. Second is they have provided insurance cover for 44.6 crore persons under Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana. Now, that's why they have given benefit to almost one-third of the population country, 44.6 crores persons under this scheme. Then, in addition, they have provided 9 crore drinking water connections to rural houses. Now, it is such a big achievement. Nobody could imagine, really speaking, that rural people, the persons who are living in rural area, could get drinking water connections, which could not be done. Last 75 years in the country, but this government has provided it. And really speaking, how much benefit, how much relief it has provided to the women in the villages who used to travel miles to bring water in their pots, buckets, etc. They had to travel whole day, almost big part of their day to bring water. This 9 crore drinking water connections is a big relief to rural houses and the ladies therein. Fourth achievement has been they have provided 11.7 crore household toilets under Swachh Bharat Mission. Big one. Nobody would have thought such a small thing, but the Prime Minister had this vision in mind that open toileting has to be stopped and toilets have been provided in the house. Something for which no vision could have come in the mind of earlier governments. Then thereafter they provided 9.6 crore LPG connections under Ujjwala. They have achieved 220 crores COVID vaccinations of 102 crore persons. And then they have opened 47.8 crores PM Jandan bank accounts. They are no small achievements, because it is something out of box thinking by this government, which could not have come into the mind of earlier governments. Then second part, this is their vision for current year. What they intend to do, to build digital public infrastructure, building on accessible, inclusive, informative solution for farmers. Then setting up Agriculture Accelerator Fund for encouraging innovative startups in rural area. Then Atmanirbhar Bharat A and B horticulture clean plant program to be launched to boost production of high value horticulture crops. Fourth, targeted funding rupees 20 lakhs crore agriculture credit targeted at animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries sector, making India global hub for millets. Shri Anna, how the Finance Minister has described this scheme for production of millets, Shri Anna, support to be given to Indian Institute of Millet Research, Hyderabad, for promoting research in millets. Then setting up of widely available storage capacity to enhance farmers' remuneration by enabling sale at appropriate times. Now there are been combination of two things in this vision. One is to provide incentives through cash expenditure. The other to provide facilities to them to produce more and to store more, and thereafter to sell it at convenient time to earn more. So then third, inclusive development. Health is third part of inclusive development. That is, they propose to provide 157 new nursing colleges to be established. Now, this great vision, you just realize that, I mean, if you have nursing colleges, you can create more and more nurses so that they can provide services at higher level, at lower level, at different places in the country. More nurses are produced, the more services of this nature will be available to the citizens of this country. Then, sickle cell anemia elimination mission to be launched. New program to promote research in pharmaceuticals to be launched. Joint public and private medical research to be encouraged via select ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research Labs. So all these programs for promoting health of the citizens of this country has been proposed by the government in this budget. Then fourth part of inclusive development has been education and skilling. There are three important aspects in this part. One is to revamp teachers training via district institutes of education and training. Second is national digital library to be set up for children and adolescents. And third is states to be encouraged to set up physical libraries at panchayat and ward level. Now, see, just visualize the benefit the people are going to get. Now, once teachers training is revamped, which means that they will get higher skill, higher exposure, and they will be able to get better employment, and they will be able to earn more money. And thereafter, for the benefit of children and adolescents, they are creating national digital library so that they are able to access more and more books on their laptops, computers, etc. Then states are also encouraged, they are provided funds to create physical libraries at very lower level, panchayat and ward level, so that all the persons in small area, they can, in panchayat level, they can go sit there, read and educate themselves and be aware about the national and international matters. Then, now what is the consequence of infrastructure investment? This second aspect, Saptarishi, this is the second part. There are six items in it. Incentives to boost investment in infrastructure and productive capacity. The multiplier impact is a rise in growth and employment. Now, the government is planning to invest more and more in infrastructure. You know, almost 10 lakh crore has been earmarked for the purposes of infrastructure. Now, the consequences would be, the result would be that more and more people will join in infrastructure development. They will get employment. They will have the starters will get the growth, and so it has all the potential of creating growth as well as jobs to several people through this infrastructure development. Then second is increased capital investment outlay by 33.4%. So this 10 lakh crores, which is earmarked for infrastructure development, it is 33% more as compared to last year. Then third is continuation of 50-year interest-free loan to state government to incentivize infrastructure investment. Now, those long-term loans are being planned by the government for the state governments so that they also contribute to infrastructure investment at their level. Thereafter, the fourth outlay has been for railway. The very high outlay has been earmarked by the government for railways. It is 2.4 lakh crores. Now you would be knowing that earlier railway budget was used to be put up separately, but it has been merged and it becomes part of total financial budget. Thereafter, fifth priority is to create 100 transport infrastructure projects identified for end-to-end connectivity for ports, coal, steel, and fertilizer sectors. Now, we just visualize this particular aspect. Now, the 100 transport infrastructure projects they have identified so that all the ports that they are connected for coal, steel, and fertilizer sectors. Then last is creating urban infrastructure in tier 2 and tier 3 cities via establishment of urban infrastructure development fund. That is again a part of infrastructure development. So I mean there may be allegation against the government that I mean it is not creating the direct immediate what you call the short term sort of impact on the people, but it is more involved in long term projects. But then if we don't do any long term investment right now, the effect would be that I mean we will not be able to create our infrastructure, we will not be able to create potential for large companies and more employment. So infrastructure development or investment in infrastructure is a very important aspect of economic development. Then next is unleashing the potential trust-based governance. Now, what the major government has done and what are the expected outcome? Now, make artificial intelligence in India, AI in India, 3 specialized artificial intelligence centers to be set up in educational institutes. Now, the expected outcome is artificial intelligence based solutions in agriculture, health, and sustainable cities. Now, for this purpose, they are creating centers. The effect would be that we create solutions for these 3 sectors. Then, second measure is national data governance policy to be introduced. The expected outcome is enable access to anonymized data for research by startup and academia. That is, you create database which is accessed by startups and intelligentsia. Then next is Vivad se Vishwas. 1. Less stringent contract execution for SMEs. Now, what is MSMEs? Micro, small and medium enterprises. Now, government is encouraging setting up of micro, small and medium enterprises, and it is providing a lot of benefits to this sector. Reason being that it creates more business, it creates more employment, it creates, creates market in a small locality, and which caters the need of the local people of that area. The outcome is relief to MSMEs affected during the COVID period. During COVID period, there was a lot of adverse consequences on MSMEs. Therefore, the conditions have been relaxed so that they are able to prosper and meet their targets. Then Vivad se Vishwas 2, easier and standardized settlement scheme, faster settlement of contractual disputes of government and government undertakings with MSMEs. So this is a very important aspect. Then part 3 of e-count. Then next measure is phase 3 of e-courts to be launched, effective administrative justice. Now government is encouraging in fact to go for e-courts so that online hearing on different matters takes place by different courts. It will ease the administration of justice and decisions can be taken quickly. Then next is entity DigiLocker to be set up for use by business enterprises and charitable trust. The consequence would be it facilitates secure online storing and sharing of documents with the business ecosystem. Now, what they want? At one place, you file your documents and you give options to the government who can share your documents. So you need not file same documents at different places. At present, what happens is that there are various compliances in the government sector, and you have to file same documents to different departments. So in order to ease the administration, that they have enabled, they are proposing to create digital log system, so that once you file a document at one place and you enable the government to share it with your opted departments, it will be shared accordingly. No other department which is not opted by you can share your document. Then setting up of 100 labs for 5G services based application development to tap employment potential and business opportunities. Now, for development of 5G, they are creating more than 100 labs all over India, so that they are able to achieve the development of 5G. Then research and development grant for lab grown diamonds. This is for, in fact, there are large number of diamond traders in Gujarat, and it helps in Gujarat and Bombay. So it helps them to grow artificial diamonds in the laboratory. So for this purpose, their object has been to create research and development for growing diamonds, for which they have allocated a fund to reduce import dependency by encouraging domestic production. Now, which in fact, artificial diamonds used to be imported, and in order to reduce this import dependency, they are encouraging research and development in India. Then next is green growth. It is what there are green. There are 5 items in it. First is PM program for restoration, awareness, nourishment, and amelioration of Mother Earth. It will incentivize states, union territories to promote uses of alternative fertilizers. Now, at present, the present use of fertilizers is being discouraged, and to provide more alternative type of fertilizers, so that it does not affect Mother Earth. It does not affect the soil. The second is green credit programs to be notified under EPA to incentivize sustainable action. In fact, the green credit program means that for the purposes of creating more and more forest, increasing forest development, increasing they are creating programs and allocating funds for that. Then 500 new waste to wealth plants to be established under Govardhan scheme, galvanizing, what is Govardhan scheme? Galvanizing organic, bio, agro resources done for promoting circular economy. Now it's so important. You grow plants, then thereafter they are used, then again they are converted into fertilizers, they are again used. So this cycle is being created, which creates a circular economy, and everyone who is at different points of this circle gets benefit. The next is sustainable ecosystem development, MISTI, mangrove initiative for short-line habitats and tangible incomes to be taken up for mangrove plantation along the coastline, Amrit Dharohar to be implemented for optional uses of wetlands. The second part of growth, green growth, is other initiatives are setting up 10,000 bio inputs resources centers to facilitate farmers to adopt natural farming. So they are discouraging organic, inorganic fertilizers. They are in fact encouraging natural farming, that is promoting organic fertilizers. The second is promotion of battery energy storage systems. Since government is planning to bring on roads more and more electric vehicles, so it becomes necessary to provide how the electricity can be stored, replaced. So battery energy storage systems are also being created so that it is used wherever electricity is not connected, wherever connections to electricity is not available. So battery can be used, it's used and then again recharged and again used. One can take big batteries which are used for several days, which has large power, and they can be used in a small area, and thereafter, and it can be replenished by new batteries. So this is what the idea is. If we are not able to get electricity connection everywhere in the country, at least at some places which is far away, the power can be sent to such places through battery storage systems. Promotion of coastal shipping for energy efficient transportation. Then funds to be allocated for replacing old polluting vehicles. Now, again, government is emphasizing that old vehicles should be replaced, and in fact, all the vehicles which are 15 years old or more, their registration is being cancelled and they are being seized, or citizens are being encouraged to put them for scrap. So, there in Gurgaon, there has been recent notifications that registration of old vehicles, they are to be cancelled, so that people are almost compelled to scrap their old vehicles. Particularly, this is for government sectors, state government, central government. Then another, after Saptarishi, there is another sector, financial sector. There are six major thrusts in financial sector. One is setting up of National Financial Information Registry to enable efficient lending, promote financial inclusion, and enhance financial stability. Second is setting up of a central data processing center for faster handling of administrative work under the Companies Act. Third is credit guarantee scheme for MSMEs, expanded corpus under a revamped scheme to enable additional collateral free guaranteed credit of rupees 2 lakhs crore. So they have created a fund up to rupees 2 lakh crores for being given as credit to MSMEs. Then fourth is Mahila Samman Bachat Patra, one time new small savings schemes for a 2-year period with the deposit facilities up to rupees 2 lakhs for women. Then fifth is benefit for senior citizens, enhanced maximum deposit limit for senior citizens savings scheme from rupees 15 lakhs to 30 lakhs. In fact, earlier, one family of husband and wife could have deposited 30 lakhs, 50 lakh each in SS senior citizen savings scheme. Now they can deposit rupees 60 lakhs and earn fixed interest of 7.4%. Other initiatives are initiative to promote business activities in GIFT IFSC, International Financial Service Center. So in order to, they are providing more facilities to IFSC. In fact, at present also several facilities are provided for business centers in IFSC, particularly GIFT City in Ahmedabad. These are providing transaction shares without payment of STT, exemption in capital gains, and of course, repatriation of foreign exchange in the same manner as is brought in India. They can do business in India through foreign exchange and take away that foreign exchange out of India without any hassles. Then create more trained professionals in security market via award of educational certificates. In security market also, they are promoting security markets so that more and more educated and expert persons, they participate in it, and so that they can help others to in fact properly invest their money rather than through such brokers who do not have that background and knowledge. Then next part of Saptarishi is fiscal management. One is to grant 50 years interest-free loan to states to be spent on capital expenditure within 23-24. Then part of the loan is conditional on states increasing actual capital expenditure, and parts of outlay will be linked to state undertaking several reforms. Then fiscal deficit of 3.5% of GSDP allowed for states, that is 0.5% tied to power sector reforms. Then fiscal consolidation targeted fiscal deficit to be below 4.5% by 2025-26. At present, in the present budget, they have made it 5.9%, but they are targeting that it shall be reduced to 4.5% by 2025-26. The next part of Saptarishi is youth power. There's Amrit Pidhi. PMKVY 4 will be launched, covering new courses like coding, artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, etc. Then measures to boost tourism sector. At least 50 destinations to be selected through challenge mode to be developed as a complete package for domestic and foreign tourists. Now, why we see why promoting tourism? It brings foreign exchange. It creates an image of India that it is quite provides quite comfort to the tourists. And second, it also encourages the foreigners to invest in India. Tourism not merely coming and visiting places, but it has a hidden objective that they come, they propagate about India, so more and more tourists come, and then if they like that there is some growth for potential, growth for investment, they bring foreign exchange in India to create more and more industries and startups. The next is states will be encouraged to set up unity malls for promotion and sale of ODOP, one district, one product, GI handicraft products. Now, this is important. Every state is required to create one mall where not only the product of that state is displayed or marketed, but also products of other state as well. So on focus is the product of that state and side by side products of other states. Reaching the last mile, there's the last one out of Saptarishi. Pradhan Mantri PBTG, particularly vulnerable tribal groups development mission to be launched. Second is financial assistance to be given for sustainable micro irrigation in drought prone region of Karnataka. So maybe it is there is a political vision in this particular provision, because elections are going to take place in Karnataka. Maybe they want to create a goodwill there by way of providing funds for micro irrigation drought prone area in the regions of Karnataka. More teachers to be recruited for 740 Eklavya model residential schools. So it will create employment opportunities for several teachers. Then Bharashri, shared repository of inscriptions to be set up for digitalization of ancient inscriptions. So government attention is also there that all our ancient inscriptions are digitalized so that they are preserved. Then the government has a plan for simplifying tax benefits for industry. So these are some of the provisions they are making for providing tax benefits for industry. For MSMEs, that is micro, small and medium enterprises, what they have done, they are proposing enhanced limits for micro enterprises and professionals to avail benefits of presumptive taxation, 95% of receipts to be non-cash. That I will explain in tax proposals. Objective is that benefit of presumptive taxation is given to MSMEs. Now I can explain. There is section 44 AD. Earlier there was a limit. What is presumptive taxation? That is, you are not required to maintain books of accounts, but your income is presumed on the basis of your total turnover. Earlier limit was 2 crores. That is, if you have turnover of 2 crores, then your income is presumed to be at 8%, provided 95% of receipts are through digital to banking channels. Now this limit of 2 crores has been increased to 3 crores. In other words, income of MSMEs will be assessed at 8% of total turnover, and they are not required to maintain books of accounts or get them audited. Similarly, for professionals, section is 44 ADA under Income Tax Act. Earlier it provided that if the turnover, if the professional receipts of a professional is rupees 50 lakhs, then 50% thereof will be taxable income, and they are not required to maintain books of accounts or get them audited. So, in fact, net tax effect is about 14 to 15% if 50% of rupees 50 lakhs is offered to tax and tax is levied on that. Otherwise, in fact, it would come around 11% because of tax slabs. Okay, so this limit has been now increased to 75 crores, 75 lakhs. That is, if our professional receipt is rupees 75 lakhs, then our income would be assessed at 50% thereof, that is rupees 37.5 lakhs, and income tax rate slab will be applied accordingly. So in net effect is about 11 to 12% because of different kind of slabs. Then second is deduction on payments made to MSMEs to be allowed only when payment is actually made. What used to happen when MSMEs used to make sales to big industries, big people, then it became very difficult for them to get their money back from them. There is to be delay, and since their capital input of the MSMEs is very small, and if their money is blocked by big people, by big enterprises to whom they have supplied the goods, then their business will stop. So realizing this difficulty of MSMEs, the government has proposed that deduction out of their income in case of purchasers of goods from MSMEs will be allowed only when they actually make the payment within the end of the accounting period or within 2 months to the MSMEs. If they don't make the payment, then deduction from their income will not be allowed. Now then is cooperatives. One is extending 15% corporate tax benefits to new cooperatives commencing manufacturing till 31st March 2024. Second is higher limit of rupees 2 lakhs per member for deposit and loans in cash by PSCs, primary agriculture credit societies, and P cards, primary cooperative agriculture and rural development bank. That is, they can deposit up to rupees 2 lakhs in cash in banks, and no question will be asked. Then higher limit of rupees 3 crores for TDS on cash withdrawal for cooperative societies. Then for startups, the benefit provided under tax system is extension of the date of incorporation by 1 year for income tax benefits to startups. That is, it was up to 2023. That is, those startup who are incorporated up to 31st March 2023 will get benefit under Income Tax Act. That is, their income for any of 3 consecutive years will be nil, deemed to be nil, and no tax has to be paid by them. So this date of incorporation has been increased from 31/3/2023 to 31/3/2024. That is, all those startups who are incorporated up to 31/3/2024 will get the tax benefit of tax exemption, complete tax exemption for any 3 of the years in next 10 years. Then benefit of carry forward losses on change of shareholding of startup from 7 years of incorporation to 10 years. There's again very big benefit. Then rationalization. Income of authorities, boards, commissions set up by statutes of the union or state to be exempted from income tax in certain sectors. Extension of period of tax benefits to funds relocating to IFSC, International Financial Service Centers, and GIFT City, Gujarat International Financial Tax City till 31st March 2025. Now, we come to, in fact, direct tax proposals. The objectives in indirect taxes has been higher exports, high domestic manufacturing, more value addition in the economy, and green energy and mobility. The, there have been changes in custom duty, and the benefit envisaged is as under, where custom duty is changed from import of capital goods for lithium ion battery manufacturing. So this is for green mobility, because objective government has been to create battery storage system, and lithium ion batteries are better equipped for storage electricity. Therefore, custom duty on import of capital goods for lithium ion battery has been reduced. Import of mobile camera lens, deepening value addition. Now, because government wants India to become one of the important manufacturing sector for mobiles. Therefore, mobile uses camera, and therefore for camera lenses they have reduced the custom duty. That denatural ethyl alcohol for chemical industry. Maybe there's some demand from the chemical industry. They have changed the custom duty on import of denatural ethyl alcohol. Key inputs for producing shrimp feed, more marine exports. So because they want to benefit of the fisheries, therefore they have reduced custom duty on key inputs for shrimp feed. Seeds for manufacturing lab grown diamonds for export promotion, to reduce dependency on imports and to promote export. Then continuing concessional basic custom duty on copper scrap. The benefit is augmenting raw material availability for MSMEs. Then compounded rubber to bring it at par with natural rubber, to curb duty circumvention. How this duty circumvention used to take place? That is, a compounded or artificial rubber used to be dubbed as natural rubber, on which duty is less. There was circumvention of custom duty, and therefore for import of compounded rubber they have reduced the custom duty. Then there have been changes in GST law, particularly in procedure. We will go through, and you can read at your leisure. There are 7 or 8 points in it. First is the scope of composition scheme is expanded. The taxpayer who supply goods through e-commerce operator can opt for composite scheme. Composition scheme, that is, they can compound the offenses. The value of the goods supplied for home consumption can now be included in exempted supply under section 17(3) for the purposes of reversal of common credit. The input credit on purchase of goods or services or both which are used for CSRA cannot be availed. New section 37(5) in CGST Act has been inserted to put a time limit to file the return GSTR1 till 3 years. Well, they have unlimited time with paying penalty. Now they have restricted this time to 3 years. Similarly, there have been several changes like time limit for 3 years for GSTR3B, time limit 3 years for GSTR8 and GSTR9. Then insertion of penalty provisions for e-commerce operators if he allows supply of goods, services to unregistered persons or through the persons who are not eligible to supply or fail to furnish correct details in respect of outward supply of goods through exempted persons from registration. The definition of non-taxable online recipient has been amended, which means any unregistered person receiving online information and database located in taxable territory. So penalty has been levied for dealing with non-taxable online recipients. So now, and direct taxes. So a small brief has been prepared for direct taxes. What it is. Now everybody wants to know what are the benefits given. So my friends, there are two schemes under direct taxes. One is old scheme, other is new scheme, new regime. Old regime and new regime. In old regime, one can claim exemptions, benefits, etc., deductions, etc. But in new regime, no benefit, deduction, exemptions are claimed, and income is computed as it is without providing any deductions, exemptions. And so finance minister has provided benefit to the people, to the citizens, when they opt new tax regime. And if they don't mention anything in the return of income that they are opting for old regime or new regime, then it is deemed that they are opting for new regime. So under new regime, in personal taxation, the limit where no tax is to be paid has become 7 lakhs. Now it is very curious to understand how it has become 7 lakhs. The tax slabs show that there is no tax up to rupees 3 lakhs. Thereafter, up to rupees 7 lakhs, up to rupees 6 lakhs, there is 5%. And from 6 lakhs to 9 lakhs, the tax rate is 10%. If you have income of rupees 7 lakhs, then for first 3 lakhs, income is nil. For next 3 lakhs, the tax is 5%, that is 15,000. And for next 1 lakh, rate is 10%, so it is 10,000. Total tax comes to rupees 25,000 on income of rupees 7 lakhs. Then there is a rebate under section 87A which has been increased from 15,000 to 25,000. So he claims rebate under section 87A for rupees 25,000. So once he claims rebate of 27,000, his tax liability comes to nil. That's how PM has said in the budget speech that persons under new tax regime having income up to rupees 7 lakhs is not required to pay any tax. But there is a really, my friend, there is anomaly in it. Because if your income is above rupees 7 lakhs, then you have to pay entire tax at the rate of, from 5%, no exemption available, 5% and 10%, and benefit under section 87 is also not available. So even if you have taxable income of rupees 7 lakh 1,000, then you might have to pay tax of rupees almost 12,000. You work out on that. So there is certain anomaly. We are expecting that when final budget is passed, then these anomalies will be removed and marginal benefit will be provided to all those who have income above rupees 7 lakhs, so that at one point of slab, they are not put at loss. It is because the person who has income of rupees 7 lakhs, he is not to pay any tax. A person having income of rupees 7 lakh 1,000, he has to pay tax almost 12,000. So you earn 1,000, you pay 12,000. So income would be concealed. People will not pay any tax. So this marginal relief is required to be provided. If we are expecting the government will take care of this aspect in the final proposals. Now, what are the changes in direct taxes? For income of rupees 7 lakhs, tax liability as per above rates would come to rupees 25,000. The assessee will get relief of rupees 25,000 under section 87A, and therefore his tax liability up to income of rupees 7 lakh becomes nil. The benefit of these rates is available in the new tax regime, in which the taxpayer does not claim any specified exemption, deductions, or setup of losses. New tax regime is assumed in case of default in not mentioning the regime in the return of income. Exemption on income from Agnivir Corpus Fund, that is any payment from Agnivir Corpus Fund to a person enrolled under Agnipad scheme or to his nominees, shall be exempt from income tax under clause 12C of section 10 of Income Tax Act. That is, they have created Agnivir Corpus Fund, and all those who are part of Agnivir, they may be paid at the end of their tenure, and such payment from this fund will be exempt under Income Tax Act, that it will not be treated as salary or pension. There's amendment in capital gains provision. Now, there are several amendments which have been made in capital gain tax, but we will just confine to few. There is section 54 and 54F. Section 54 is that if you have a residential house, if you sell that residential house, invest in a new residential house, then to the extent capital gains invested in new residential house, your capital gain tax liability will be nil. That is, on sale of your old house, if you earned a sum of rupees 10 lakhs and you have invested in a new residential house sum of rupees 10 lakhs, then no capital gains liability will come under section 54. Now, also under section 54F, there is similar provision, but slight difference is that if you are selling any other long-term asset other than residential house, and if sale consideration invested in new residential house, in section 54 it is capital gains invested, in section 54F it is net consideration which is invested. So if net consideration is invested in new residential house, then capital gains to this extent will be exempt. Now, what used to happen, as perceived by Honorable Finance Minister, that people used to sell their flats, bungalows for a sum of 20 crore, 30 crores, and invest in such big houses by investing 15 crore, 20 crore, 30 crores and claim exemption. So they considered that such exemption should be restricted. So what they have proposed is that the exemption, that investment is capped at rupees 10 crores and surplus thereafter will be taxed under that capital gains. So in your investment under section 54 has to have capital gains up to rupees 10 crores and it has to be net consideration up to rupees 10 crores under section 54F. So this what they have proposed, and the good change. If the next is, if gold is converted into e-gold, no capital gains will be leviable. What that the government is proposing for the people, they are encouraging the people to convert their gold into e-gold. What happens that when you convert into e-gold, firstly, there will not be capital gains tax liability. Secondly, it will be safe. There is no need for keeping them in the locker or keeping them at home. And third is it will be saleable in the market. And fourth is that, there is when there is increase in valuation, when you get the gold in return, then you will get the corresponding increase. The next is cost of acquisition of all intangible assets like goodwill will be taken as nil. There is another provision because there were certain intangible assets like goodwill is one of them, then certain rights and certain rights involved property, other properties. Their cost of acquisition for the purpose of computing capital gains used to be undeterminable, and therefore no capital gains liability could be imposed on them. So in a sweep, the government has proposed that in all cases, in all such cases of intangible assets, cost of acquisition, there is a purchase price shall be taken as nil and capital gains will be computed accordingly. Then presumptive taxation, I have already apprised you. At present, the limit of turnover under section 44 AD for presumptive taxation in case of small business is rupees 2 crores. This limit is now enhanced to rupees 3 crores, provided cash receipt does not exceed 5% of total turnover. It means they are not required to maintain books of accounts and their income will be estimated at 8% of turnover. At present, in case of professionals, at present, the limit of professional receipt under section 44 ADA for presumptive taxation is rupees 50 lakhs. This limit is now enhanced to rupees 75 lakhs, provided cash limit does not exceed 5% of total receipt. It means that they are not required to maintain books of accounts and their income will be estimated at 50% of gross receipts. Then next we come how the allocation of funds to major schemes have been done in the present budget. There are few sectors I have taken. To development of pharmaceutical industries, they have allocated 1250 crores. To Jal Jeevan Mission, they have allocated 70,000 crores. To Eklavya Model Residential Schools, they have allocated 5,943 crores. To Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, they have allocated 79,590 crores. To scheme for faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles, they allocated 5,172 crores. To Northeast Special Infrastructure Development Scheme, rupees 2491 crores. To railways, 2.4 lakhs crores. and for infrastructure development 10 crores. Then finally, revenue receipts are estimated at rupees 26.3 lakh crores. Capital receipts are estimated at rupees 18.7 lakh crores. The total receipts are 45 lakh crores. Expenditure estimated is revenue expenditure estimated is 35 lakh crore. Effective capital expenditure is estimated at 13.7 lakh crores. Total is 48.7 lakh crores. And this fiscal deficit, when we compare, it is 5.9% of GDP. In fact, it is almost 3.7 lakh crores. But when we calculate on the basis of gross domestic product, it is 5.9% of GDP. Then rupee comes and rupee goes. Now see this important chart. Income we receive, government receives income tax 15%, union excise duty 7%, corporation tax 15%, goods and services tax and other taxes 17%, borrowing and other liabilities 34%, non-tax receipts 6%, non-debt capital receipts 2%, and custom 4%. Then how the rupee goes? Pensions, it goes 4%. The interest payment 20%. Centrally sponsored schemes 9%. Subsidies 7%. Defense 8%. Then central schemes 17%. Finance commission and other transfers 9%. State share of taxes and duties 18%. And other expenditure 8%. So this is how the budget has been framed. Now, so it is, just give me a 2 minutes break. I'll have a cup of water. I have a glass of water. Then I'll come back. Friends, for the purpose of interview, it is very important for you to know, to understand various terminology. Now here, I'll try to explain, but then this PPT will be shared with you, and I request you to go through all this terminology, budget terminology and taxation terminology, so that you are not taken off guard. Maybe when I read it here or when I try to explain it here, it may be difficult for you to grasp it completely, but then when PPT is available with you, you go through it once, twice, thrice, so that all these items, there are almost about 60, 65, 70 items. So that, I mean, you become aware of all these terminologies and you are not taken off guard when you are interviewed by UPSC. So friends, first is budget terminology mein, first is budget. What is budget? A budget is basically a financial plan for a defined period, normally a year, and provides an estimation of revenue and expenses of government, businesses, or individuals. See, budget is not only for the government, but it is for business, for individuals. So there is estimate of receipts and expenditure which creates a budget for everyone. Then this is union budget. According to article, this is necessary to remember these articles. According to article 112 of the Indian Constitution, the union budget, also referred to as the annual financial statement. There is another name, please remember. Union budget is also known as annual financial statement, is a statement of the estimated receipts and expenditure of the government in respect of every financial year, comprising of both revenue budget and capital budget presented by FM before Parliament. So a budget has two parts, revenue budgets and capital budget. It is also called annual financial statement of the government. Then what is capital budget? The capital budget consists of capital receipts and payments. It also incorporates transactions in the public account and includes investment in shares, loans, and advances granted by the central government to state governments, government companies, corporations, and other parties. That is, capital budget is that, I mean, which you have a right to recover. है ना? Revenue budget is that where you don't have a right to recover, it's lost, it's gone. So this distinction you have to keep in mind. So investment shares you can recoup, and loans and advances once you grant to state government, government companies, corporations, other parties, you have a right over that. There's a debt, so you can recover. That is a different matter. You will waive it subsequently, then it becomes an capital expenditure, and you lose it. That revenue budget, it consists of revenue receipts of the government and its expenditure. Revenue receipts are divided into tax and non-tax revenues. Tax revenues consist of taxes like income tax, corporation tax, corporate tax, excise, custom, service, and other duties that the government levies. That's the revenue budget. Expenditure budget, it shows the revenue and capital disbursement to various ministries and departments. The next terminology is interim budget, where the government is unable to present full budget because of elections or pandemic or war or due to other unforeseen circumstances. An interim budget is presented to meet the government expenditure. It has happened in the past also, when parliament is not in session and government requires funds, then and not able to present the budget. Maybe elections are near, because the election year they are not able to present the full-fledged budget. They present interim budget. So the interim budget is like a budget, but it is finally converted into full-fledged budget where all the receipts and expenditure adjusted in the final budget. Then budget at a glance. It is a summary of receipts and disbursements with breakup of tax revenues and expenditure, non-planned and planned expenditure, the allocation of planned outlays by ministries and departments and sections and sectors, and details of the resource transferred to the state governments and union territory governments by the central government. But the summary of the budget. The budget class means summary of the budget. What is the budget cycle? Budget cycle starts from creation to its evaluation. There are 4 stages of the budget cycle. They are preparation and submission, followed by approval, execution, and audit, and evaluation of the budget. Then another terminology, vote on account. What is vote on account? Vote on account is a process by which an incumbent government obtains votes from parliament to spend money on various items for a part of the year. Now, budget is presented once, but maybe funds are required at some for certain aspect, for certain sector. Then they, through vote on account, they obtain the approval of the parliament to spend the money. Budget estimates. It is an estimate of fiscal and revenue deficits for the year. The term is associated with the estimates of the central spending during the financial year and the income received through taxes. Revised estimates. Now, when the finance minister presents the budget, they are all estimates. And during the year, if they find some issues, they can put up revised estimates of their budget. Revised estimates is a mid-year review, predictions of potential expenditure for the remainder of the financial year based on the trends noticed in the first half of the year and expectations, requirements for next half of the year. So what the finance minister presented in the budget estimate, if they require after 6 months, after end of the half year, they may put up revised estimates if they so consider. Then what is balanced budget? A balanced budget is a budget in which revenues are equal to the expenditure. This means there is neither a deficit nor a surplus, rather there may be a small surplus. What is budget surplus? Where receipts, revenue, and capital are more than expenditure in both accounts. Budget deficit, where expenditure on revenue and capital account is more than receipts in both accounts. What is annual financial statement? Is the budget. It is a statement of estimated receipts and expenditure of the government in respect of every financial year, April 1 to March 31. It is divided into three parts: the consolidated fund, contingency fund, and public account. The government must present a statement of receipt and expenditure for each of these three funds. Then what is zero-based budgeting? The process of zero-based budgeting starts from a zero base, and every function within an organization is analyzed for its needs and cost. The budgets are then built around what is needed for the upcoming period, regardless of whether each budget is higher or lower than the previous one. This process is generally used by companies. That is, whatever has happened in the past year, that is, there is some surplus or there is some negative, some more expenditure in the past year, they for the time being ignore. They start from the zero in the current year, and from the zero they estimate what could be receipt, what could be expenditure. So this zero-based budgeting actually enables them to understand their potential in the current year. The financial bill. It is a money bill as defined under Article 110 of the Constitution. Now, you may be asked, if it is budget, then what is a financial bill? If it is a budget, what is finance bill? In fact, this budget is a finance bill. It is a money bill as defined under Article 110 of the Constitution. The proposals of the government for levy of new taxes, modifications or continuance of the existing tax structure, mobilization of resources, allocation of funds for various investments, expenditure submitted to Parliament through this bill. Then what is Finance Act? When Finance Bill is passed by both houses of Parliament as such or with modifications and gets assent from the President, it becomes Finance Act. What is fiscal policy? It is an instrument of demand management which seeks to influence the level of economic activity through the control of taxation and government expenditure, and thus to accomplish nation's economic goals. Fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, and primary deficit. What are they? Fiscal deficit is total expenditure minus total receipts excluding borrowings. It is calculated as percentage of GDP. What is revenue deficit? Total revenue expenditure minus total revenue receipts. What is primary deficit? It is fiscal deficit minus interest payments. So these distinction you have to remember clearly. Fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, and primary. Fiscal deficit total. Primary deficit is only for the revenue. Primary deficit is fiscal minus interest payment. This you remember. Then what is fiscal year? Estimates of the government's revenue and expenditure is made for a fiscal year which runs from April 1 to March 31. Then what is central plan outlay? It refers to the allocation of monetary resources among the different sectors in the economy and the ministries of the government. Primary deficit, I have explained. Then what is public account? What is public debt? The public account is the government acts as a banker for transactions relating to provident funds, small saving collections, etc. The funds that the government thus receives from its bank, like operations, are kept in the public account from which the related disbursements are made. That is, government is a trustee of funds received under provident fund or small saving collection, that's senior citizen scheme. So this government a trustee. Government uses that fund, but then as a trustee it has to return the fund. Then what is public debt? Public debt receipts and public debt disbursals are borrowing and repayments during the year, respectively, by the government. Public debt can be split into two heads: internal debt, that money borrowed within the country, and external debt, funds borrowed from non-Indian resources. The internal debt comprises of treasury bills, market stabilization schemes, ways and means of advance being supported by RBI, and securities against small savings. This is internal debts. Then what is appropriation bill? It is a bill that gives power to the government to withdraw funds from the Consolidated Fund of India for meeting the expenditure during the financial year. अभी आगे आएगा what is the Consolidated Fund of India. So there is a consolidated fund under the control of under the governance of president, and wherever required, the government can withdraw funds from consolidated funds and spend the money. But then permission of parliament is necessary, approval of parliament necessary for making expenditure out of consolidated fund. Reappropriation. Appropriation means keeping aside funds for a specified purpose. Fund allocation by the legislature to meet the expenditure of various government departments as grants. Reappropriation is to transfer money approved to one department to another. That is, from one department to another, they can transfer the money. There is reappropriation. Appropriation is allocating fund for a specific purpose. What is capital receipt? Capital receipts are loans taken by the government from the public, borrowings from foreign countries and institutes, from the RBI, from the sale of treasury bills, recovery of loans, proceeds of disinvestments of government stocks in PSU. Capital receipts. Capital receipts are loans taken by the government from public, borrowings from foreign countries and institutes, from the RBI, from the sale of treasury bills, recovery of loans, proceeds of disinvestments of government stocks in PSUs. What is revenue receipt? Revenue receipts include the proceeds from taxes and other duties paid by the center, the interest and dividend it receives on its investments, and the fees and charges the government receives for its services. Thus, there are two sources, tax revenues and non-tax revenues. They comprise revenue receipts. What is the debt capital receipts? Market loans, issuance of special securities to public sector banks, issues of securities, short-term borrowings, etc. are all examples of debt capital receipts. Debt capital receipts have to be repaid by the government. Non-debt capital receipts. Non-debt receipts are those which do not incur any future repayment burden for the government. Examples are recovery of loans, advances, disinvestment, issue of bonus shares, etc. Tax revenues and non-tax revenues. Tax revenues constitute taxes like income tax, corporate tax, excise, custom, service, and other duties that the government levies. Non-tax revenue are earning other than taxes. Examples are interest receipts received on loans given by the government to states, railways, and others, and dividend profits received from public sector companies. Demand for grants. This terminology, brothers, friends, you have to remember. I mean, this because they are general propositions, they are general terminology, and it is not a part of your written examinations. You have to know them, and once you know, once you are aware, you will be able to reply to the interview board. Demands for grants. It is a form in which estimates of expenditure from the consolidated fund included in the annual funded statement are required to be voted upon in the Lok Sabha are submitted in pursuance of Article 130 of the Constitution. The demand for grants includes provisions with respect to revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, grants to states and union territory governments, together with loans and advances. Generally, one demand for a grant is presented in respect of each ministry or department. However, for large ministries and departments, more than one demand is presented. The excess grants. It is a grant in excess of the approved grants for meeting the requisite expenses of government. The demand for excess grant is made after the actual expenditure is incurred and is presented to the Parliament after the end of the financial year in which the expenses were made. Supplementary grants, capital expenditure, revenue expenditure. Supplementary grant, when the grants are spent, then government can put claim or demand supplementary grants. The additional grants required to meet the required expenditure of the government is called supplementary grants. When grants authorized by the Parliament fall short of the required expenditure, an estimate is presented before the Parliament for supplementary or additional grants. These grants are presented and passed by the Parliament before the end of the financial year. Capital expenditure. It is the money spent by the government on the development of machinery, equipment, building, health facilities, education, on acquisition of fixed assets, upgrading, repairing existing assets, repayment of loan, investment by the government for earning dividend, etc. Revenue expenditure is part of the government expenditure that does not result in the creation of assets, payment of salaries, wages, pensions, subsidies, and interest fall in the category as revenue expenditure. Non-planned expenditure. It's the revenue expenditure of the government other than planned expenditure like 5-year plan. The biggest item of expenditure is interest payment, subsidies, salaries, defense, and pension. The capital expenditure of the non-planned expenditure is the defense expenditure. Sorry, the capital component of the non-planned expenditure is the defense expenditure. In the budget at a glance, the plan and the non-planned expenditure make up to total government expenditure. Plan expenditure. Plan expenditure are those which are incurred under a plan after discussion with planning commission, like 5-year plan. Aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is the total demand for all goods and services in the entire economy. It includes every single thing purchased, produced within India, and details the relationship between every goods, services and their respective prices. Consolidated Fund of India, मैं पढ़ता जाता हूँ, मैं आप भी साथ साथ पढ़िएगा. Consolidated Fund of India is the most important of all government accounts. Revenue received by the government and expenses made by it, excluding the exception items, are part of the Consolidated Fund of India. Government cannot access it without the approval of the Parliament. Contingency Fund of India. Article 267 of the Constitution mandates formation of a corpus under Contingency Fund of India to deal with any emergency situation. It is an impress placed at the disposal of the President of India. Government cannot withdraw funds from it without authorization of the Parliament, and the corpus has to be replenished with the same amount later. GDP. GDP is the final value of the goods and services produced within the geographical boundaries of a country during a specified period of time, normally a year. GDP growth rate is an important indicator of the economic performance of a country. Last, net domestic product. The net domestic product, or NDP, is the annual measure of the economic output of a country with adjustments for depreciation. NDP is equal to GDP minus depreciation of the country's capital goods. External debt. It refers to money borrowed from a source outside the country. External debt has to be paid back in the currency in which it is borrowed. Halwa ceremony. The print of budget starts roughly a week before presenting it in the Parliament with a customary halwa ceremony in which halwa, a sweet dish, is served to the officers and support staff involved, because India starts everything on a sweet note. There's some change now. The blue color, what is blue sheet? The blue color is secret sheet, contains the key numbers and consists hundreds of pages of the budget documents, is called the blue sheet. It forms the backbone of the whole budget process and is secret. Blue sheet is still there because whatever preparations are made, whatever proposals are made, they are all kept wrapped under blue sheet. But now all these proposals are now taken in a laptop, and the finance minister does not take the printed papers with her. There is no need of printing. Only 4 or 5 copies are printed, and for presenting before the Parliament. And at that moment, subsequently, when bill is presented before the Parliament, large number of copies may be printed and given to the members. But then, for the time being, when before presenting in the parliament, it is on the laptop or the in which finance minister is reading the budget. Then certain terminology, it is also important to know certain tax terminology because I mean this awareness is also important. What are direct taxes? Direct taxes are the taxes which are directly levied on the income of the individuals and corporates. For example, income tax and corporate tax. Its impact is direct on the person. So it is direct taxes. What are indirect taxes? Indirect taxes are paid by consumers when they buy goods and services. These include excise duty, custom duty, etc. The impact of these duties, of these taxes are indirect because it is not paid by them to the government. It is paid by them along with the purchase of goods and services. And the person who is receiving the money for selling or transferring goods and services, it is his duty to make payment to the government. So on consumer or on the person, the effect is indirect and therefore they are called indirect taxes. What is GST? Goods and services tax is levied on the supply of goods and services in India. GST came into effect from 1st July 2017. It replaces multiple of taxes levied by central and state government. It is governed by a GST council whose chairman is finance minister. It includes excise duty except on certain items like petroleum and liquor. Custom duty is replaced by the IGST, Integrated Goods and Services Act 2017, which defines the import of goods as bringing commodities from overseas into India. As such, all imports are considered as interstate supplies. IGST will be applicable to all imported goods along with custom duties as applicable. What is ad valorem duties? These are the duties determined as a certain percentage of the price of products. The countervailing duty, duties that are imposed in order to counter the negative impact of imported subsidies to protect domestic procedure are called countervailing duties. Minimum alternate tax. There are some zero tax companies that show minimal to zero income to evade taxes. Minimum alternate tax enables the government to levy a minimum tax on such companies based on their book profits. It is under direct taxes. 4 and 5th, they are under indirect taxes. A minimum alternate tax is under direct taxes. Sharing of taxes between state and center. There are 5 parts. Tax levied, collected and retained by the center. No part is shared with the states. Corporate tax, custom duties, now IGST, surcharge on income tax, taxes on capital value of assets of individual and companies, and fee on matters of the union list. So these taxes are those which are not shared by the center with the states. Then taxes levied by the center but collected appropriated by the states. They are stamp duties on the bill of exchange, checks, promissory notes, and others. Excise duty on medicinal and toilet preparations containing alcohol. They are levied by the center but collected by states. Collected and appropriated by the states. Then third part is taxes levied and collected by the center but assigned to the states. Examples are duties on succession to property other than agricultural land, estate duty on property other than agricultural land, terminal taxes on goods and passengers carried by railways, sea and airways, taxes on railway fares taxes on railway fares and freights, taxes on transactions in stock exchange and future markets other than stamp duties, taxes on the sale or purchase of newspapers and taxes on advertisements published in them, taxes on the sale or purchase of goods in course of interstate trade or commerce other than newspapers, and taxes on the consignment of goods in the course of interstate trade and commerce. Yes, all these taxes are levied and collected by the center but assigned to the states. It goes to the state, everything goes to the state out of there but collected by the center. Fourth is taxes levied and collected by the center and compulsory distributed with the center and state as per Article 270 of the Constitution. Taxes on income other than agriculture income and corporate taxes, shared in such a manner as prescribed by the President on the recommendation of the Finance Commission. The last is taxes levied and collected by the center and may be distributed between center and state. Examples are excise duties included in the union list except those on medicinal and toilet preparations, payment to states out of consolidated fund of India only if the parliament so provides, sharing of the proceeds of income tax is obligatory while that of excise duty is permissible. Then lastly, taxes levied and collected and retained by states. The following taxes and duties exclusively belong to states. They are mentioned in the state list. Every state is entitled to levy, collect and appropriate these taxes. These taxes are duty on succession to agricultural land, estate duty on agricultural land, land revenue, tax on agricultural income, tax on land and building, capitation taxes, tax on mineral rights, tax on the consumption of sale of electricity, tax on the vehicles, tax on the sale and purchase of goods other than newspaper, e.g. sales tax, tolls, tax on professions, trades and employment. Education cess, it is an additional levy on the basic tax liability. It is levied by under income tax, through income tax act. That is whatever tax under direct tax is levied, over and above that, education cess is levied. The surcharge is an additional charge or tax. For example, a surcharge of 10% on tax rate of 30% effectively raises the combined tax burden to 33%. मान ली 100 रुपए के ऊपर टैक्स 30% का है और सरचार्ज 10% का है. Surcharge is on tax. So first tax is 30 rupees and surcharge would be 10%, that is 3 rupees. So total tax burden would be 33. Gross total income. Its total income computed as per provisions of Income Tax Act before allowing deduction under Chapter 6A of the Act. Then total income is computed after allowing deductions under Chapter 6A on which tax rate as per Finance Act for the relevant assessment year is applied. This is old regime. This concept is old regime where you claim deductions under Chapter 6A, work out your total income, then tax rates are applied. This old regime. Under new regime, you are not required to claim any deduction or exemptions or set of losses. Then what is a PAN? A PAN is 10-character alphanumerical number allotted by the Income Tax Department to a taxpayer who is eligible to file income return. First 3 characters are alphabetic series. Fourth is status of PAN holder. Fifth is the first character of PAN holder's name. Next 4 are special sequential numbers. And the last one is alphabetic. So you have to know. Question may be asked. What is your PAN? Then you may be able to point out what is PAN and what are these numbers. What is first, what is second, what is third, what is fourth. So you have to remember all those things. TDS. The income tax law requires deduction of tax at source in respect of various kinds of payments made by the debtor to the payee. For example, interest payment, payment to contractors, payment of brokerage, commission, payment of rent, payment of fee for royalty and technical services. So if I am a payer, I am making payment of interest in all these items, then I am required to deduct tax and make the payment to the government as TDS. Credit of the TDS is given to that person when he files a return of income and claims such TDS. What is assessment year? Assessment year is a taxable period of 1 year which follows the previous year, which is the financial year in which income is earned by the taxpayer. The assessment of income and tax dues are made in respect of an assessment year. For example, for the financial year 21-22, the assessment year would be 22-23. For the financial year 22-23, assessment year would be 23-24. What is previous year? Previous year is the financial year for which books of accounts are kept by the taxpayer and income is assessed for the assessment year following the previous year. What is LLP? A limited liability partnership is the partnership in which some or all the partners have limited liabilities, and LLP is governed by the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. An LLP has minimum 2 partners and shall have minimum 2 designated partners. there is no limit on number of partners. The liability of the partner is limited to the contribution made by him. It is governed by an agreement between the partners. Companies. Now, a company's entity constituted under Companies Act 2013. A public company has minimum 7 members. A private company has minimum 2 members, and a one-person company has minimum 1 member. The companies are 3 types: company limited by shares, company limited by guarantee, company with unlimited liability. Company can also be classified on the basis of public interest: private company, public company, government company, one-person company, foreign company, holding company, subsidiary company. What is standard deduction? In place of allowing any specific expenditure against earning of salary income under section 16, it allows a deduction of rupees 50,000 or amount of salary whichever is less. This is called standard deduction. What is basic exemption? The amount of total income, taxable income, on which no tax is payable, that's entire income is exempt. Above this limit, income is taxable. What is advance tax? As and when income is earned and taxpayer is required to deposit tax in advance under Chapter 17 of Income Tax Act, advance tax is payable in 4 installments on 15 June, 15 September, 15 December, and 15 March of every financial year. If there is default, interest will be charged under Section 234B/234C. What is assessment year? Wherever assessing officer considers necessary to scrutinize the return of income, he issues notice under Section 143(2)/142(1) of Income Tax Act, asking the taxpayer to provide evidence in support of income declared or on specific points. After carrying out scrutiny, he passes an assessment order determining total income of the taxpayer on which he has to pay the tax. Such order is appealable if it goes against the assessee. What is capital gains? Wherever any capital asset, land, building, machinery, factory, premises, etc. is sold, the difference between the sale consideration and cost of acquisition, maybe cost price, is charged under the head capital gains. What is double taxation avoidance agreement? This is an agreement between 2 sovereign nations to earmark different sources of income to their respective countries so as to tax income earned by the non-resident from such sources either in the country where it is earned or in the country of residence of the non-resident. And whenever there can be double taxation, that is, suppose there is income which is taxed in India, earned in India, it is taxed at 10%, and in country of residence it is taxed at 20%. Then the taxpayer, non-resident taxpayer, has to get credit of 10% of tax paid in India. What is stamp duty valuation? It is a duty leviable by the state authorities, registrar of properties, on transfer of immovable properties, land or building or both. The relevance of stamp duty under Income Tax Act is that such valuation is deemed to be sale consideration in place of actual sale consideration if it is less than SDB for calculating capital gains. Security transaction tax, it is kind of turnover tax which the investor has to pay, a small tax on the total consideration paid perceived in share transaction. So friends, this is what I presented. PPT will you share by Sankalp with you. This only the what I view of this thing, but even if you go to 2-3 times, you will remember these things. It will help you if any question comes relating to budget or budget terminologies. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I am open to questions which you may please raise. Thank you.
Friends, I would request that please switch on your video when asking a question. So one by one, you can raise your hands and then I'll put you through. Thank you. Yes, okay, Ajay Gupta.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, first of all, thank you so much for such a enriching session. Sir, my question is, sir, there is decline in the budget allocation for Manrega and other social schemes like food subsidy. Sir, what are the reasons behind these reductions?
No. See, it cannot be elaborated in the budget because it's a political issue.
Yes, sir.
So there could be many reasons you can speculate. the government has other priorities. What they say that from Manrega, what I feel from Manrega, they are not getting any proper output, and it is just expenditure on something like अब गड्ढा खोदो गड्ढा भरो गड्ढा खोदो गड्ढा भरो, इस टाइप की जो चीज होती है इकोनॉमी के अंदर, वो कुछ क्रिएट नहीं करती है. दे डोंट क्रिएट एनी एसेट. So government considered that let the money be spent for creating asset which is useful for the citizen, or rather than spending money only for that purpose which is just just outgo and without creating any benefit to anybody. The government is providing many other benefits to all these individuals through Jan Dhan Yojana, putting bank accounts, providing subsidies, farmers, and so many other things government is providing. So it considers its political in its political wisdom that providing benefits the way they are providing is better as compared to spending on Manrega. This is what it is.
Okay,
Their priorities, nothing else. Their political priorities, their priorities, bas, nothing else.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, next, please. Please raise your hand. Yes, Anand Wagmare.
हाँ सर. हेलो नमस्कार सर.
I'm not able to see you. What happened? I'm not able to see the face. Should I close this sharing? Huh? Should I?
Yes, sir. That will be beneficial, sir.
Then फिर कहाँ गया, फिर कैसे आएगा ये यहाँ से फिर ये एक
सर
स्टेनो को बोलता है, एक सेकंड स्टेनो को बोलता हूँ. अपर्णा, हेलो हेलो हेलो. I'm not able to see face of anyone. I'm not aware how to do it. हेलो. हाँ, जरा इसे देखना, ये इसको शेयरिंग को बंद करो. आई वांट टू व्यू द सी द पार्टिसिपेंट्स. हेलो हेलो. हाँ ठीक है, ओके. इसको बड़ा कर दो, इसको जूम कर दो इसको. गुड. यस प्लीज. हाँ
हाँ नमस्ते सर.
ये नमस्कार. फाइन, वेरी गुड.
हाँ
गुड मॉर्निंग यार, क्या बात है.
यस. सर एक्चुअली मैं ये पूछना चाहता था कि अपना पूरा जो जीडीपी है, जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का बजट है, कितना % है जीडीपी का?
देखो जीडीपी देखो फिस्कल ग्रोथ है. फिस्कल मतलब डेफिसिट है. दे आर वर्किंग आउट फिस्कल डेफिसिट 5.9% ऑफ जीडीपी. नाउ उसका दूसरा रेशियो उन्होंने कोई वर्कआउट नहीं किया है, एंड आई विल आल्सो नॉट बी एबल टू वर्कआउट इट.
ओके सर.
पेश किया बजट के अंदर, आई विल ओनली गिव दैट टू यू एंड नॉट कैलकुलेट एनीथिंग.
जस्ट मैं ये जानना चाहता था कि जैसे हमारी 3 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी है, तो उसका कितना मतलब 10%, 20% अपना जो गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर करती है, मतलब
देखो बहुत बड़ा है गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर पिछले साल के मुकाबले में. इट इज और 48 लाख करोड़.
यस सर.
Substantial increase. So I mean, the increase of funds for infrastructure, this thing, so they cannot increase their GDP. So कितना परसेंट बढ़ा है, क्या बढ़ा है, वो मैंने कैलकुलेट नहीं किया. well, अभी यंग लोग, आप लोग आप कैलकुलेट करके देख सकते हो कितना फर्क पड़ता है यहाँ पे. साल के मुकाबले कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट था, कितना जीडीपी था, अब जीडीपी कितना हो रहा है, ग्रोथ कितना है. दे आर सेइंग 6 ग्रोथ इज 6%, 6 पॉइंट समथिंग परसेंट है ना. they have told कि 6 point some percentage is the growth in GDP.
yes, और एक सवाल है सर मेरा.
बोलो.
जो कस्टम ड्यूटी है जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट लगाती थी, तो अभी आपने बताया कि आईजीएसटी में उसको सबज्यूम किया है, तो
सारे 5 आईजीएसटी जो है ना, वो पूरे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के हिस्से में आता है. जो डिवीजन है, जो 5-6 डिवीजन देखना उस पीपीटी के अंदर से, उन डिवीजन के अंदर कौन सा टैक्स किसके हिस्से में जा रहा है, कौन कलेक्ट, कौन शेयर कर रहा है. कई सारी चीज जो सेंट्रल कलेक्ट करती है, स्टेट से बांटती है, सेंट्रल कलेक्ट करती है, स्टेट को नहीं देती है, और स्टेट कलेक्ट कलेक्ट करती है, पार्टली सेंटर से इसके पास आता है, स्टेट कलेक्ट करती है, टोटली स्टेट के पास जाता है। तो ये 6-7 दिन जो ऑलरेडी मैंने बताया हुआ है, उसको पढ़ोगे, वो टैक्स याद करोगे, दैट विल वर्क।
सर एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन है मेरा।
हाँ।
सर जो इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट है वो कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर में आता है या रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर में आता है?
इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट रेवेन्यू में आएगा, रेवेन्यू हमेशा रेवेन्यू में आएगा इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट, क्योंकि एक्सपेंडिचर दो किस्म के होते हैं, सैलरी प्लस प्लस है, नॉन ये सब इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट इज द रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर।
यस सर। और इंटरेस्ट रिसीट है वो कैपिटल।
देखो रेवेन्यू और कैपिटल का फर्क क्या है? कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर यू कैन रिकूप, वापस ले सकते हो, हाँ? और इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट है वो वापस नहीं ले सकते, जो वापस नहीं ले सकते वो रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर। पेंशन मिली, वापस नहीं ले सकते, आपने सैलरी दिया, वो वापस नहीं ले सकते आप अभी, है ना? तो जो चीज वापस नहीं ले सकते उससे, वो दैट इज रेवेन्यू।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू। यस,
further, any more hands, please, or anybody would want to ask question to sir?
Sir,
Yeah, Dr. Tejas, yes. Oh, okay. You are by the name, coming with the name A. So please identify your name, please.
sir, my name is Sahil. Sir, I would like to ask you the question on tax to GDP, sir. So the tax to GDP, as recently reported in newspapers, is almost constant in the past 2-3 years. So, sir, what are we not able to increase the tax collection?
No. See, both are sorry, both are increasing in the same pace. GDP is 6%, revenue is also by the same pace. So they are same ratio. So we can't say that there is no increase in the revenue or there is no increase in GDP. Merely because two are progressing at the same pace. है ना? So I mean, there cannot be any blemish on the government on that. No. Economy is going perfectly well. Revenue is bouncing, GDP is bouncing. And in fact, higher GDP means higher revenue. Because more activities, more productions, so there will be more direct taxes, more indirect taxes. So it's almost the same percentage. In some cases, it is possible that revenue is less. It is because there is concealment of revenue. What is happening these days is that there is a lot of restrictions and conditions imposed where it is becoming difficult for the people to conceal tax. See, most of the transactions are going through banking channels. Everything is coming on record, and they are collecting, the income tax department is collecting all the information of your transactions, and they report to you that these are your transactions. Please, you work out tax payable or not tax payable. So all those transactions which are on which tax can be levied, government is reporting to the taxpayer. So they have to correct their statements. Once concealment is controlled, concealment of income is controlled, the revenue will rise. The revenue is rising. See, you understand? GST 1 लाख करोड़ से पहले हुआ करता था, ऑलमोस्ट नाउ इट इज। सो धीरे धीरे कर करके जो उन्होंने रोप टाइट किया हुआ है रेवेन्यू कलेक्शन के ऊपर और इवेजन के ऊपर, उस सबका इफेक्ट हो रहा है, रेवेन्यू बढ़ रहा है। जीडीपी तो पहले भी था, यू अंडरस्टैंड? जीडीपी हो ही रहा है, लेकिन वो रिकॉर्ड में नहीं आता था। अब दोनों चीज रिकॉर्ड में आ रही है, जीडीपी भी रिकॉर्ड में आ रहा है और रेवेन्यू भी रिकॉर्ड में आ रहा है।
ठीक है सर। सर वन,
इट इज नॉट 100%, but still more and more things are coming on record.
सर बेसिकली पहले जीडीपी भी अनरिकॉर्डेड चला जाता था ड्यू टू
Yes,
नॉन
very true.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, in this regard, I come from agriculture background. So one question that can be asked is, should we tax agriculture since you have very much experience? What should be my answer, sir?
See, one thing, this is a highly politically sensitive question. So, and state government is levying, whosoever state government wants. Agriculture is the subject matter of state. So whosoever state government wants, they can levy tax on agriculture income. Kerala is levying, and some few more states are levying.
Okay, sir.
But other states are not levying. So it is not that it cannot be levied. Only issue is that why central government is not levying. What is what the constitution is provided? कि भाई ये टैक्स जो है ना, ये स्टेट के जुडिशन का है, स्टेट लिस्ट में जाता है, हमारे पास नहीं आता। इट इज फॉर द स्टेट टू डिसाइड टू लेवी और नॉट लेवी।
सर इनकम टैक्स भी एग्रीकल्चर एज अ सब्जेक्ट पे स्टेट पे जाएगा, मतलब इस तरह का है क्या सर? मेरे को समझ नहीं आया।
एग्रीकल्चर टैक्स ऑन एग्रीकल्चर इनकम.
ओके सर।
Agriculture income is part of the state.
ओके सर, ओके सर, थैंक यू सर, दैट्स अ वेरी गुड इन्फो, थैंक यू सर, थैंक्स अ लॉट।
Yeah, Dr. Tejas.
Yes, sir. Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you
Good afternoon.
for such a detailed session, sir. Sir, I get confused when a very broad stroke question is asked, like, what is your opinion of this budget? Or a second question could be, what are the three things which you think could have been better addressed by this budget, or three things which are the highlight of this budget? So, sir, how do you advise on approaching such questions?
For me, the budget is a combination of political vision and economic vision. I would not say it's totally economic. It is politically also, because government has to be in power or wants to win elections. So they cannot ignore their political ambition, political priorities. But then they had to be subordinate to, they had to be hidden behind economic priorities, right? So whatever they have presented, it in such a way that it creates investment in infrastructure. From that investment, it creates some large many startups and companies, and there's encouragement of MSMEs. So, and one there is outlay for infrastructure. So many things grow up. देखा होगा कि आप लोगों ने in earlier years on infrastructure development there was very little outlay. Result was that non-planned expenditure and revenue expenditure was much more as compared to this capital expenditure. Now this government has in fact prioritized the capital expenditure in the infrastructure. Now if you ask any economist, privately they may say anything, but when it comes to really that capital investment in infrastructure creates the environment of creating large companies, large companies and many new enterprises, and it encourages MSMEs and also create jobs, investment. Manrega does not create that sort of environment. एक क्वेश्चन भी आया था मनरेगा बारे में. Capital investment creates so much opportunities, not this. So far as my view is concerned, in my view, infrastructure development, number one, is very important. Number two, giving facilities, benefits, and creating facilities for the poor people through various schemes that we have explained. That's the second. Third, to keep investment for defense. It is not being highlighted, but we know that government's plan is to invest more and more in creating defense infrastructure. It may be part of total infrastructure. The three things. And what is the shortage? In fact, the allegation that where is unemployment, where is control of Mengai, these are all political. They are consequence of your budget plan. There will be employment if you plan properly. It is not immediately that you create jobs and give it to. It is wastage of money. Unless you know where to employ, what the people will do. So whether people are capable or not, there is underemployment and no employment. So you understand, there is underemployment and no employment. What is underemployment? Where your expectation is to get a salary of rupees 1 lakh per month, but you are employed at a salary of rupees 50,000 per month. So you feel you are underemployed, so you are not happy. But then in this budget, in this budget, they have created opportunities for everyone. जो जितना काबिल है उतना पैसा कमाएगा. अब काबिल नहीं हो तो कैसे कमाएगा भाई? Ultimately, people are not going to throw the money. ये freebies का concept जो है ना गवर्नमेंट के माइंड में केवल एक restricted है कि हम उन लोगों को सुविधाएं दें, पैसा ना दें, सुविधाएं दें. They are creating facilities for the common people. So for me, the budget is absolutely superb. If I have to there, I will give 9 out of 10. Of 1, I will keep, because there are certain deficiencies, of course, on this channel. On this I will not elaborate. I will not.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
शत्रुंजय।
सर जी सर, हेलो सर, गुड इवनिंग सर।
गुड इवनिंग।
सर सर, जिस प्रकार से गवर्नमेंट ने रूरल सेक्टर में नरेगा और पीएम किसान का बजट कम किया है, तो इससे मतलब क्वेश्चन रेज होता है कि सरकार आजकल रूरल सेक्टर में ध्यान कम दे रही है, तो इसको सर आंसर कैसे किया जा सकता है?
नहीं, it is incorrect to say that government is not giving attention to rural sector. You see so many other schemes where they have encouraged the farmers, they have provided benefit to farmers, but in different way. So ये हमारा पुराना concept था साहब, मनरेगा is the only way where benefit can be provided, है ना? See ultimately दो चीज है, एक तो आप यहाँ पर ये है कि आपको उनकी जेब में पैसा डालना है, दूसरा ये है आपको केपेबल बनाना है कि आप पैसा कमाएं। जब आप केपेबल बनाते हैं दूसरे तरीके से इन्वेस्ट करके, आपको केपेबल बनाते हैं, तो आपकी कमाने की जो कैपेसिटी है वो बढ़ जाती है, वो बढ़ती है है ना? आप टोटल उसमें से निकाल कर देखो किसानों के फायदे के लिए कितना कितना, पूरी देख लेना मेरा जो पीपीटी है ना, उसमें देख लेना किसानों के फायदे के क्या क्या स्कीम बनाई गई है और कहाँ का पैसा जा रहा है। अब मान लीजिए टॉयलेट बनाया उन्होंने, उनको मकान दिया, तो अल्टीमेटली आप भी तो उन्हीं को, किसानों को नहीं मिला, वो किसानों को ही मिला है, उसके अंदर भी उनको ही मिला है उसके अंदर, है ना? या उनको सबसे वो जो फर्टिलाइजर वगैरह के लिए जो करते जा रहे हैं वो भी किसानों के लिए ही है। तो एक इनडायरेक्ट तरीके से किसानों को बेनिफिट दिया जा रहा है, जो हमारे दिमाग में पहले से बैठा हुआ है वो डायरेक्ट वाला। ये यहाँ पर आपको सुविधाएं दी जा रही हैं, जैसे मतलब एक कमजोर आदमी को ताकतवर बनाना है, सो दैट और आगे अच्छी तरह दौड़ सके। और पहले मतलब कमजोर आदमी को केवल जो रोटी दे देना, कमजोर आदमी को केवल पैसे दे देना, चाहे वो खाए या दारू में उड़ाए, वो नहीं है। और कमजोर आदमी को ताकतवर बनाने की गवर्नमेंट की इच्छा है, सो दैट वो खुद ही अपना जो है ना अधिक से अधिक बेनिफिट खुद अर्न कर सके। अब देखो सारी स्कीम, देखो सारी स्कीम का पूरा ऑब्जेक्टिव ही यही है कि किसान ताकतवर बने, गरीब आदमी ताकतवर बने अभी, और कम से कम उसको लाइफ की बेसिक सुविधा है वो खुद नहीं कर पाया तो गवर्नमेंट बना के दे दे। एक दूसरे जो मन जो ऊपर उठता है, आपको घर में मकान, आपको घर का मकान मिल गया, आपका टॉयलेट हो गया, आपका गैस कनेक्शन मिल गया आपको उसके अंदर से, तो होता क्या है, आपका कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल बढ़ जाता है कि ये बेसिक चीजें जब मिल जाती है तो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल बढ़ जाता है, देन यू फील मोर पावरफुल, मोर स्ट्रेंथन्ड, मन में ताकत आती है काम करने के लिए। छोटी मान लो नल लगवा दी उन्होंने अभी, अब बोले नल से क्या फायदा हो रहा है? अब आप देखो यार, कितने आपने देखा होगा हमारे टाइम से, ये आप सोचोगे कितने किलोमीटर से दूर लेडीज जो थी ना, वो पानी भर भर के लाती थी, कुआं सूख गया तो वहां बैठी हुई है, उसके अंदर पानी निकाल नहीं कर रही है। अब इतने नल के कनेक्शन उन्होंने दे दिए, उनका टाइम बचा, उनके शरीर की मेहनत बची उनके अंदर से, वो उनको तसल्ली हुई, तसल्ली होने से वो अपने आप को एम्पावर्ड महसूस करती हैं, एम्पावर्ड महसूस करती है, दे कैन डू बेटर, है ना, सब चीजों में। तो वो बेनिफिट देखना है, मतलब ये मनरेगा जो देख रहे हो यहाँ पर, ये क्योंकि हमारी सोच है, हम उस अभ्यस्त है उस चीज के, और ये गवर्नमेंट उस आउट ऑफ बॉक्स थिंकिंग वाली गवर्नमेंट है, वो पुरानी रॉट पे नहीं जाती है, रॉट पे नहीं जाएगी इस गवर्नमेंट, वो उसके आगे सोचेगी, 4 कदम आगे सोचेगी। अब देखो अगर ये ना होता तो हमारी इकोनॉमी 3rd नंबर पे कैसे आगे होती है, 3rd या 5th जो नंबर है कैसे आगे होती है पर ये सब चीजों के बारे में। और सेटिस्फेक्शन लेवल लोगों का देखो, हैप्पीनेस लेवल लोगों का देखो, इज मच हायर, मच बेटर एज कंपेयर टू पास्ट। हम खुद देखते हैं कि लोगों के हैप्पीनेस लेवल मच बेटर। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सर।
Pramiti Garg, sorry, Pramiti.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I want to ask you about the faceless scheme in the income tax and how does it work?
वाह, अरे आपने तो हमारे दुखती नर्व पकड़ ली आपने तो ये। देखो फेसलेस स्कीम क्या है ये, पहले तो ये होता था जब नोटिस मिलता था चाहे आयकर अधिकारी से, असेसिंग ऑफिसर से या कमिश्नर अपील से, तो वी यूज्ड टू गो देयर, प्रेजेंट आवर केस 1 to 1, और उसमें ज्यूरिडिक्शन जो होता था वो फिक्स होता था, दैट इज इस अफसर के पास मेरा केस है, मुझे वहीं जाना है, वही मुझे नोटिस देगा, है ना, वो मुझे जवाब देना है। तो 1 to 1 था। गवर्नमेंट के परसेप्शन को ये लगा कि 1 to 1 मीटिंग से टैक्स पेयर एंड डिपार्टमेंट अफसर 1 to 1 मीटिंग से करप्शन बढ़ेगा। दिस व्हाट द आइडिया वाज, सो दे ट्राई टू मेक इट फेसलेस इन द सेंस दैट कोई किसी से नहीं मिलेगा, सब जो कंप्यूटर, सब कुछ काम कंप्यूटर करेगा, हमें नहीं पता मेरा अफसर कौन है। ऑल इंडिया में जो कंप्यूटर रैंडमली अपना वो सर्वर से उन्हें जाता है, केस किसी के पास चला जाता है, वो बैठ असेसमेंट करेगा, बहुत जरूरत हुई तब कंप्यूटर पर फेस दिखा करके आएगा। और हमें नहीं पता, अब इतने अफसर है, 5-10-15 हजार अफसर है डिपार्टमेंट में, हम सबको तो जानते नहीं है। जो मेरे शहर के 2-4 अफसर होते हैं उन्हीं को हम जानते हैं। चेन्नई में कोई बिल्कुल चेन्नई का कोई आ गया बैठा हुआ है, मुझे क्या पता उसको नाम क्या है, कोई नाम नहीं बताता अभी। तो वो भी रेयरली आते हैं, अदरवाइज सब ऑनलाइन ही हमको क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, ऑनलाइन ही हम उनको जवाब देते हैं, वो फेसलेस है। और ये ऑल इंडिया जुरिडिक्शन बना दिया इन्होंने, पहले 1-to-1 जुरिडिक्शन था, अब ऑल इंडिया जुरिडिक्शन है फेसलेस। तो वो केस कहीं भी चला जाएगा, वो मेरे पोर्टल के ऊपर मेरे जो ईमेल है और जो मेरे अलॉटेड जो है उसके ऊपर नोटिस भेजेगा। मेरी ड्यूटी है हर हफ्ते मैं उस पोर्टल खोलता रहूं, देखता रहूं मुझे कोई नोटिस आया कि नहीं आया, और जवाब जो मुझे देना है मैं उसी पोर्टल खोलकर जो जवाब फाइल कर दूंगा, वो जवाब उसका चला जाएगा, वो पढ़ेगा। पढ़ने के बाद फिर फर्दर जो क्वेरी करेगा, फिर फर्दर क्वेरी कर देगा। कौन कर रहा है मुझे नहीं पता, वो दस्तखत किसी कुछ नहीं होते, बस वो अब जो है ना कि बिना दस्तखत का सब नोटिस आता रहता है, हम पढ़ते हैं, देखते हैं, और टाइम जो मिलता है उसे जवाब भी अपलोड कर देते हैं। तो फेसलेस यही है कि ठीक है साहब, हम नहीं जानते हमारा अफसर कौन है, पहले तो अफसर हमारे लिए भगवान हुआ करता था, अब जो है ना ये सब कुछ नहीं है लाइक दैट। दिस इज व्हाट फेसलेस इज। फेसलेस मींस योर केस विल गो टू एनी ऑफिसर इन इंडिया एंड यू डोंट नो, दैट्स ऑल। You can't see your face, you can't show your face, he won't show his face to us. What it is.
Okay, sir. Yes, thank you.
मैं टैक्सेशन प्रोविजन नहीं बता रहा हूँ, टैक्सेशन प्रोविजन थोड़ा डिफरेंट है, पर इसका कंसिक्वेंस इफेक्ट ये है।
Okay, sir.
है ना?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Further, any candidate would like to ask questions, so please raise your hand. Sir, as we see no more hands raised, we'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
Would like to thank you for a very enlightening session, and बहुत धन्यवाद sir आपका, and to all the candidates for participating in this
खुशी
lovely
होती है, हम
session.
कुछ काम आए बच्चों के, बस
जी जी
भाई, ये यंग बच्चे हैं, ये देश को संभालना है, इनको इन सब बच्चों को देश संभालना है आगे चल करके, है ना?
जी
तो
जी
ये पासिंग फेस है, सेटिंग सन है, जो भी है ना?
जी जी.
ये लोग
So nice of you, sir. Namaste and have a good day, sir. And
मैं पीपीटी भेज, पीपीटी किसको भेजूं मैं? पीपीटी
सर आप मुझे ही भेज दीजिएगा,
ठीक है, ठीक है,
और मैं बच्चों के साथ शेयर कर दूँ.
थैंक यू। जो मेल मेरे पास आया है उसी मेल के ऊपर मैं फॉरवर्ड कर देता हूँ मैं।
So nice of you.
जो मेल आया है ना उसी मेल में फॉरवर्ड करता हूँ मैं, ठीक है ना?
जी, so nice of you. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।